Hey everybody, it's writer and director Len Kabasinski of Killer Wolf Films coming at you tonight with a brand new episode of the Forgotten Movie Den. This one truly is a Forgotten Movie Den. This movie didn't, or really didn't exist, sort of, in quotations, right? I mean, it happened, but then never was released, so did it really happen? We're going to have the answers for you. So, this was a movie we're going to get to in a minute as I bring in my man, Joe from Ozone Late Night, who is always joining me on the Forgotten Movie Den. I hope you're enjoying the past episodes and everything. See them. The best way to see them, patreon.com/killerwolffilms. The best way to support my works, past, present, future. We'll get into that stuff in a minute, but that's more of a Fist of the Filmmaker podcast I do, not so much a movie den, but rules of the movie den, there's only a couple. We don't really cut on movies and do that kind of thing. That's really not our gimmick, right? It's a gimmick. That's not really our gimmick. We just like to say, hey, here's a really strange movie we found entertainment with and figured you should know about it so you can go check it out and have a good time with it. So that's pretty much what the Forgotten Movie Den is all about. Maybe you hear a film from like 1989's Fist Fighter, which George or Jorge, right? George Rivero and Matthias Hughes and things like that. I'll bring that up. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Overkill with Aaron Norris. That's right, director Aaron Norris, not Chuck. It is Chuck's brother that was famous for doing the jumping sidekick through the car window in, I believe, the Octagon, right? Anyways, we're going to get into the episode in a minute. First order of business, we mentioned patreon.com/killerwolffilms. You can see all my movies on there. Most of them have downloadable versions. 4K versions of my films are being worked on as we speak. So as the year goes along here and we get into 2024, right? Wow. Yeah, so those things are coming. I think the first 4K movie is going to be Apocalypse Female Warriors. That's being worked on by my buddy Matt out in Las Vegas. But stay tuned for all that stuff. But really stay tuned to the Fist of the Filmmaker podcast that I do, where I talk about all the more in depth about what's going on in my own films and things. So watch for a new episode of that soon. Sometimes I do a brief, hey, what's happening on the Forgotten Movie Den? Again, more of a Fist of the Filmmaker thing. But yes, I am co-writing a film called Demoniac right now. However, something else has kind of dropped into my lap that might scoot Demoniac along, but we'll see. It is a professional wrestling slasher film. We'll see what happens. I have just maybe, kind of acquired some locations and talked to some people about things, some ideas, some stories, and things like that. So it's just in the early stages, but I'm intrigued by this professional wrestling slasher film. So that may very well happen. But Demoniac is still going forward kind of thing, and that's basically the two films that are on the plate for, myself here. It's either going to be the professional wrestling slasher, it's either going to be the kind of atmospheric horror Demoniac, one or the other, probably both at some point. So stay tuned for that stuff. Getting into the Forgotten Movie Den, I'm about to bring in Joe from Ozone Late Night right now. As promised, I now bring in the one and the only Joe from Ozone Late Night. Joe, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. Remind me, what is your title for your new martial arts studio? Is it Sifu? Is that correct?
My new martial arts studio is, it would be Master still, Sensei, of course. Okay. I didn't even say that to the viewers when I opened this. But yes, I am opening up my own martial arts dojo. It opens September 12th. Here in Erie, so it'll be a couple times a week. Korean martial arts. Oh wow, I missed out on some things I should have told the viewers here. But yes, I last Thursday earned my master's rank in Korean martial arts in Taekwondo, Tang Sudo, a little bit of Hapkido in there. But in Korean martial arts, I had earned my 5th degree master. My sensei, or Master Dave Humes, that gave me my black belt in Korean martial arts 20 years ago. I had met up with him, and it really, really, really meant a lot to me to get my 5th degree master's rank from him. I couldn't be more happy about it. But I will be teaching primarily, Taekwondo out of my dojo there, but it is called Iron Phoenix Martial Arts, and we open on the 12th, Joe.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Your...
Thank you.
What is it? It's not accreditation. What would it be considered? To achieve master rank, what is the
certification?
Achieved rank? Certification. So congratulations on your master certification.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they're considered dans and stuff like that as you go through belt ranks and stuff. It's called dans. But yeah, when you get your promotions and stuff, right, it's just a certification to the next rank kind of thing. When you get to something like black belt, which is a little bit different, obviously, than white belt, yellow belt, orange belt, green belt. When you get to black belt, you have first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree, five, all the way up to 9 in Taekwondo and things like that. So yes, it is a certification. I have my master's ranking in like sport karate, which is kind of a catch-all, really. It's almost more like a time in kind of rank, but now I also have my master's in Korean martial arts. So I'm very happy about it. I appreciate those kind words, Joe.
Well, I apologize to anybody who knows martial arts far better than me. My experience is directly from films and TV, so I don't know all the proper terms. I apologize, everybody. That's why I was asking.
Well, that segues actually very nicely into the film we're going to talk about tonight. We get into the 80s, and anybody that watches this Forgotten Movie Den hopefully knows this. There was an 80s ninja craze that went on. Hundreds, probably, if not more than that, if not thousands of ninja movies. And I'm not just talking about Godfrey Ho. We're talking about Canon Films that churned out many, many, many ninja movies, all different kinds of styles and stuff like that. Really, Joe, when we talk about 80s ninja craze or ninja movies from the 80s, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh, I mean, Jesus, but I mean, American Ninja, of course, is one of the first ones. Followed immediately by Revenge of the Ninja. I'm a big fan of movies like The Octagon.
Yes.
If you want to count something like Miami Connection, which is technically a ninja film.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I think for most people, well, maybe not for most people. For me, I always think American Ninja. The minute you say Ninja Craze in the 80s, American Ninja hits the top, and then everything else is kind of related to that. And it all feels like, to me, it flowed out of the Bruce Lee martial arts type of thing, where there was that craze, and then we immediately went into this Americanized ninja film explosion, which is just amazing. There's so much great stuff that came out of it.
Yeah, and we're going to expand on this ninja craze a little bit before we get into the film we're going to talk about tonight, because it's directly related in much more in a micro-budget film community sense. But yes, I would say I love American Ninja, especially 1 and 2. But just like Jaws 4: The Revenge, I can find good things about American Ninja 3, which finally Steve James takes the leading acting role in that. God bless him, R.I.P. We miss you, Steve James. Also, 4 can find some good things, even though apparently David Bradley, Michael Dudikoff really didn't care for each other apparently on set, but I get it. American Ninja, you'd think it would be the first thing that comes to my mind, but actually, Joe, and you mentioned the other one which does first come to my mind, and that is Revenge of the Ninja. That is the first ninja film. When I think of ninja craze and how this whole thing is just, what is at the top kind of thing or near it, Revenge of the Ninja for me is almost a perfect ninja film. And that really, it's that and then what to me. But let's think about this for a minute. Something has to start somewhere in terms of this craze. We mentioned Bruce Lee, and then we had Kung Fu, the TV show with David Carradine. All the kind of Kung Fu stuff that was coming out, Enter the Dragon, all those kinds of things that exploded. What do you think started the ninja craze, Joe? What, in your opinion, what do you think starts it? Because you've got something like The Octagon that is made years previous. Is not a Canon film, I don't believe. That's before Chuck had signed with Canon. But what do you think? What film kicks it off, do you think?
Well, I mean, it depends. But let's remember that all this stuff tends to be whenever you were first exposed to the genre, right? So whatever first movie you saw as a ninja film, that's probably going to be what you consider the ninja film. But as far as this explosion, I've seen some arguments that it's Shogun Assassin from 1980, which is right at the beginning of the decade. Okay. I can understand that. That makes sense. Enter the Ninja.
Yes.
Shogun Ninja often comes up because it's 1980, and it makes sense because it seemed to launch pretty big. People grappled with it because, of course, it's an adaptation of Lone Wolf and Cub, and so I think it's the fact that it was attached to something that was well known as far as that comic series, that manga series, and then combined with the fact that it was a well-made film, and maybe that's what it was, that they saw there was some traction, people were watching it, people enjoyed it, and they went, okay, let's start expanding on that, and then they started churning them out. And of course, Canon's known for that. That was their whole thing, was catch the trend, pump a bunch of movies out, make them get as much money for as little expenditure, the Corman type of model, and it worked.
Yes, and you said the key word, because in my opinion, this is what really started the ninja craze. I do think the Octagon with Chuck Norris comes into play a tiny bit. But it was also kind of made right around the same time as a movie that you mentioned, which I think is absolutely critical to the ninja craze. And that was a movie called with Frank Nero called Enter the Ninja. I think that's a really cool movie. Maybe you'll hear about that on a future episode. But Enter the Ninja, I think, is very, very, very important because we all know when something makes money, you tend to keep going with things that make money until they fizzle out on their own, which the Ninja's craze did, several years later. Enter the Ninja made money for Canon, and then they realized, oh, we can probably pump a bunch of these out cheaply and make money just like we did on Enter the Ninja.
Oh, yeah, and it's a very easy formula when
Right.
you think about it, and from your side as far as a filmmaker. Okay, all we need is a rather athletic person that we can dress all in black. We can use the same weaponry across multiple films, and all we have to do is, basic revenge plot or basic quest for honor or something along those lines.
Sure.
Wronged individual needs justice, and you just kind of stamp and repeat. And once you have that, whether it's ninjas, whether it is science fiction, comedy, romance, anything that can be repeated will be repeated, and as long as it makes money, you're going to see more and more and more of it. And fortunately, at least in terms of ninja films, a lot of the stuff we got in this period, even if it isn't necessarily the best movie you've ever seen, a lot of it is very watchable, and some of it is just flat out excellent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could, off the top of my head, ninja movies you must see right now if you haven't. Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, American Ninja 1 and 2, probably Pray for Death with Shokusagi there. There's the list goes on and on and on. And then as we get to the late 80s, like any fad, and we'll call it a fad, it's much more heartfelt to me, but I'll call it a fad in filmmaking for the ninja craze. But, we get to the late 80s and stuff starts to peter out. So there was a good 7 or 8 year window where, we're talking about golden era of VHS, direct to VHS releases and mom and pop video stores and, all that kind of stuff going on. But, we petered out with stuff like White Phantom or even Lethal Ninja, I believe, with Ross. I can't think of his last name. It's not very good. But in that, I think that was made by like New Image or something like in the early 90s. Whatever. It's called Lethal Ninja. Look it up, people. You're not going to see it on the Forgotten Movie Den. I don't think it's that good. But what we're about to talk about, I think, is very well made for the Forgotten Movie Den. But yeah, I think, there's a lot of talent that comes from this pool. And you mentioned this is where we get the crazy stunts. I would have loved to seen the director, and his name escapes me, Joe. He is the director. I want to say it's Brian. He's Australian. Brian Trenchard Smith, I think is his name. He did the movie Stunt Rock and some others in the 80s. I believe, what was it? Day of the Panther or something like that. I believe he did that film. I would have loved to seen somebody like him who was known for having films with wild stunt work and stuff in them to helm a ninja movie. It didn't happen, but we got a lot of talent that came out of the craze there, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Well, and this is one of those things where even in modern films, you can see the influence. You can see where people like us grew up on this and they incorporated some. I mean, The Matrix is probably one of the big famous examples where they were looking at wire work and stunt work of that type that was, to some degree, for mainstream audiences, something they hadn't seen in a big, polished film. People like us, we grew up on this stuff, but a lot of mainstream audiences hadn't, but that's the DNA of it. This is much like Star Wars is in the DNA of science fiction films, or Indiana Jones and the B-movie pulps like Buck Rogers, that type of thing. The DNA of those films informs the big blockbusters of today. It's the same thing. You saw these people who had legitimately excellent martial arts talent, stunt teams. I mean, you think about Jackie Chan as just one singular example of somebody whose influence has rippled all the way through.
Right, he had his own stunt team. Right, Jackie Chan had his own team. Right.
Absolutely. And that's what ninja films meant to movies of today. You don't have films like, again, The Matrix is the perfect example. That stuff doesn't come without these movies where they were experimenting, doing the formula, things like John Wick incorporate elements of it. Obviously, Kill Bill is a big one. Tarantino made no secret of the DNA of those films. And this is where that stuff came from. It's these trends. And, of course, there's always crap. But then there's as much stuff where you sit there and go, wow, this is outstanding, and how can we incorporate this into modern filmmaking? And we have it.
Yeah, to the audience watching the Forgotten Movie Den here, thank you so much. Just to show you, maybe drop some knowledge bombs on you. Me and Joe sometimes know what we're talking about. You mentioned The Matrix. Well, I think that blends nicely, Joe, because the guys, I'm sorry, I don't know what the correct term is now, people. I say it with the utmost respect. The Wachowski individuals, they produced a ninja film, Joe, called Ninja Assassin. And Sho Kusagi is in it. Sho Kusagi is in it. He's the villain in the film. And they produced it. They didn't direct it, but they produced Ninja Assassin. So all this is kind of flowing together pretty nicely here, Joe.
Yeah, and that's again, every trend will have its high points and its low points. They all do. It is always a roller coaster because, as we've said, when you make money, you're going to have everybody rush to it. And the bad side of that is, you're going to get copycats and crappy versions of movies that we know we could see a better version of. But the benefit is when you have a lot of people that flow into a genre, you will have those really talented people who otherwise wouldn't have made the movie that they could, or now there's a talent out there that wouldn't have gotten a shot, and suddenly they're like Sho Kusagi is a great example. I mean, I don't know, without this trend, do we know that we would know that name?
No.
Would we have seen this?
Absolutely not.
Probably
Absolutely not.
Right, exactly. So that's where the benefit is. Yeah, you're going to get crap. Sure, crap and everything. But the good stuff, if it's made well and made with sincerity and a love for whatever art form it is, then you're going to get these gems. And those gems are worth all the garbage because they last and they influence the next generation.
Yeah, I would even take it a step further. Definitely, we don't know Sho, without the ninja craze. I don't think we ever do, to be honest. I know he went on to do Black Eagle, and that's not a ninja film, and that was in '88 or whatever with Jean-Claude Van Damme before he was a household name. But I'm not sure we know Sho because Sho doesn't get that Black Eagle gig without all the ninja movies he did beforehand. But I would say, I'll take it even a bigger step forward with somebody that's done way more stuff than Sho, and that's Michael Dudikoff. The American Ninja, he had bit parts and stuff like Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks and things like that. We talk about a wonderful movie called Radioactive Dreams. That might be for a different day, but Michael Dudikoff is one of the lead actors in Radioactive Dreams, directed by the late Albert Pune, I think is how you say his last name, right? Albert Pune, R.I.P. buddy. He is missed, and, but right after Radioactive Dreams, all of a sudden, and hardly anybody knows what Radioactive Dreams is. Go watch it, people. Boom, American Ninja hits, and then Michael Dudikoff is a star. And I think maybe we don't put him in the category as stars. What we think of is, Mel Gibson and Schwarzenegger and Stallone and those Chuck Norris and all those kind of guys. But his whole career was set up. If he wanted it, Michael Dudikoff's career was all set up from American Ninja. He could have worked in B movies, and you're still getting a paycheck, people, for as long as he wanted to. And he went on to a pretty lucrative career back in the day. I remember when he did a movie called Soldier Boys in the 90s. They even made a video game that I don't think ever really came out or got really pushed. Soldier Boys. Anyways, the big deal was they paid Michael Dudikoff like $1 million to do Soldier Boys. It was another direct-to-video release and stuff, but if you can get $1 million salary off a video or release, God bless you. And Michael Dudikoff did, and Joe, he probably doesn't get it if he didn't do American Ninja.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that, because for those who don't know, Dudikoff basically stopped in the early 2000s with acting and went into, my understanding is he's in real estate.
Real estate, yeah.
And honestly, that's another business you can make some money in. So maybe he chose the right path for him, which is, okay, I've gone as far as I wanted with this. Now I'm going to go make money somewhere else. But honestly, I agree. And if he'd never made another movie anywhere near as good as that, then we would still say that's a great movie that he's in. But he did have a small kind of window of a career that he made out where he was somebody that you could see. He was a good enough actor. I mean, he was a good actor.
Absolutely.
Good enough. He was a good actor.
He was good, yeah.
I agree. Radioactive Dreams, I thought he was fantastic in that.
He's funny. He does something different, right? He's funny in it.
Yeah, it's a step away from what most people would know him from, which is action films. But yes, American Ninja was the reason that happened, and that's the reason we know his name. And he had a nice stint within Canon's. Canon itself. When you have any type of star wattage in Canon, I mean, there's going to be a dedicated group of people who know you, and that's something that most actors never get in their lives. So he had a good run. He did,
and not to get too much on a Dudikoff tangent, but I believe he's one of the most critical figures in the ninja craze. He had his moment. He had left Canon to, I believe, go to United Artists after American Ninja 2, because now people had recognized, okay, he's done a couple theatrical releases for Canon. He's not the, he's a good-looking guy. He's not the worst actor in the world. So they signed him on to do, I believe it was Alistair MacLean, right? The author, a movie called River of Death. And the movie bombed. It had Donald Pleasance and Robert Vaughn in it along with him. Really slick poster and things like that. But the movie bombed, and then we saw that was really Michael Dudikoff's. In the 80s, it wasn't as forgiving as it is now. You didn't have a lot of tons and tons of opportunities. If you made it to the big time, you got one shot, and if it doesn't happen, you're back to B movies kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what happened. River of Death tanked. It was a massive production, for what it was, you know what I mean? But yeah, that didn't happen, and back to, Human Shield and Chain of Command and all these other B movies for Canon that he went back to, Joe.
Yeah, and that's not an uncommon story. We see that a lot. I mean, we talked, I can't remember, not too long ago about somebody who we thought was going to have a big shot, and it didn't work out, and I can't remember who it was now. But this is sort of a familiar story. But again, I would hope, because I know that from what I understand, he's still active in martial arts, and he was not a martial artist before American Ninja, but he was in very good shape, and he apparently picked everything up and apparently has developed a love for the form. And so I would hope he'd look back and say, yeah, okay, I did not get to the, Tom Cruise wattage in terms of star power, but this started me on a path of martial arts. It showed some success. I've got a community that adores what I did, even if it wasn't necessarily Mission Impossible 15.
Right.
And hopefully he's happy with the legacy, because if, like I said, some actors don't even get this. They try and never make anything. To have American Ninja in your catalog and to have Canon as part of a run in your life that you were a big segment of.
Right, a huge segment.
That would hopefully make me pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, within Canon, because they really are the authors of the Ninja, craze. I mean, there is other companies that jumped in and stuff like that, but the film we're about to talk about, I think, is a unique entry, and it kind of tugs on the heartstrings a little bit for a reason, but we'll get to that. This film that we're going to talk about, and it's sitting right here. I'm going to put on my reading glasses because I'm almost 50 here, so I just had a birthday too, so I'm 49. We're going to talk about, I want to say, Joe, if I get this wrong, you will correct me. This movie, I think, is 1988. Is that correct? Or shot in 80s? Maybe no one knows.
I think it was, what I've read is that it was originally filmed in 85. It was tried, it was an attempt at theatrical distribution.
Very
that failed,
interesting.
and then it was re-edited. And then I believe 88 is the version that we're seeing here, is when it was actually first released in any way that people could watch it.
So I wasn't super far off.
It's a little bit murky.
Okay. We're going to say the 1985 to 1988 production of none other than Justice Ninja Style. Now, it's funny you mentioned that it went into production and filming around 85-ish, because now we've picked up a lot of steam with the Ninja craze. We've had Revenge of the Ninja. We've had Ninja 3, The Domination, with Sam Furstenberg directing. We've had American Ninja 1 at that point already. So you've got, and obviously Enter the Ninja, which I believe really kicked everything really into gear. So we've had several Ninja films released, theatrical release Ninja films. And lo and behold, Justice Ninja Style comes along. And I think what's important to this, and I can speak on this because I've lived it for many, 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 many films, this really felt like a community got behind somebody that didn't have money, but yet had a dream or a vision of a film they could do competently, not competently, doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's your dream and your vision, and go get it, because no one's going to hand it to you. And this guy went and did that, but it feels like this is a real community effort to get this thing done. In terms of locations and things like that, that's always a pain in the ass, unless you're dealing with a film commission that's going to go out and get you locations and then say, and I had that, I'll be honest, I wish I never worked without the Pennsylvania Film Commission, who got me a jail for Hellcat's Revenge 2. We're filming in an actual, closed jail, and all these things, a lumberjack museum and all these things. But back then, it's clear they're not filming on a film commission's time. They're in a small community in Missouri or Mississippi or something like that. And I don't know how this director pitches it. We could have a lot of fun thinking about this, but hey, I'm going to do a ninja movie and we're going to get it together and we're going to involve local theater people and local actors and non-actors, because it's pretty much non-actors, and we're going to do a ninja movie, Joe.
Yeah, I have a hunch, and I don't know anything. Maybe there's some on the copy that you have that gets into the history. I think there are some extra features that may. I think it's a commentary by people who live in the town.
Oh shit!
If I remember on that release, I'm pretty sure. So my guess is, just watching the movie, yeah, obviously community effort, like you said. That's clearly what this is. Now, it appears that the person who at least put this together was a teacher at a local karate school.
Yeah.
Because we see that at one point.
Yes.
There are multiple shots of the logo and the name of the town, DeSoto, on police cars, fire trucks, some other places. There's at least one country singer who is name checked. That's Nick Nixon. You see him for a second. And that was apparently a local celebrity, so he was a local country singer. So my suspicion is, and there's a lot of kids in that one shot where they show the inside of the karate
that is
school.
True.
So this was probably somebody who was well-liked, well-known in the community, who said, hey, we can feature the town in a positive way. We can have a local singer that's featured. We can, promotional types of things back and forth, and put this together in the town. Looked like it was probably having a blast. I mean, who doesn't? Again, it's the height of the ninja craze. You've got a karate school. Oh, this movie's going to take off. Why not? Let's all do it. It's going to be a great time. We'll film it in town. We'll have a good time. And everybody gets to be on camera for 5 minutes. Oh, it'll be fun. Right. Let's do it. Why not? I feel like this is.
I'm going to blow your mind, Joe, with this, and hopefully everybody's watching. But everything you just said, if you could pick another movie that was filmed maybe 2 years later that you could say the exact same thing for, what would it be? It's Miami Connection. It's Miami Connection. Yeah. You could totally say the same thing. Community involvement around what? Central Florida, right? Central Florida University. Communities all involved. Local pizza shops, universities, everything. Hey, we're going to close downtown for you at 2 a.m. so you can shoot down here, YK Kim, or right? YKCK, whatever it was.
YK Kim, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Kim, we're going to shut down downtown so you can film your crazy-ass fight scene that's amazing. I love Miami Connection so much it hurts my heart. But yeah, Joe, what you just described is Miami Connection, but right now it is Justice Ninja style.
Well, and while this is not going to hit the heights of Miami Connection, I think we're both going to agree that this movie, for if I were to describe this to most people and say it's a shot-on-video ninja film from the mid-'80s, you would not expect the level of quality this movie has. I think this movie is actually fairly well put together in almost every way. I mean, outside of the actors, because you have to work with what's there. But the audio is actually really good in a lot of cases. I think there's some interesting shots as far as where it's not just a camera on a flat shot.
Right.
They've got, some stunt work that's fairly competent with the person who's playing the ninja and some other things. They've got access to a jail like you did, it looks like. It looks like an actual jail.
Yep.
They had fire engines. They had a lot of really yellow cars, which that's great. They had a yellow Corvette, it looked like a yellow, I think, Camaro, a yellow fire engine. They had it all in terms of yellow, and access to an actual police station. And I think they were using the police radio. I think they were just filming and capturing that audio.
Yeah.
So, a junkyard, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful.
Yeah, it totally, all the stuff you just said totally falls under the community involvement thing. Everybody in this DeSoto was all in on this film. And, it's one of those things, you watch it and you're right, there's competent stuff in it. It's totally worthy of Ninja, being in the catalog kind of thing with all the other ones kind of thing. But it never got released a video back then. The great people at Vinegar Syndrome did the Blu-ray that I'm holding in my hand right here. And I think it's well worth your time. This is something that... Well, I'm going to say this, and then we're going to backtrack a minute. This is not like when we say stuff is direct to video. This really is, because it's shot on video. This is shot on like Super VHS or something like that. One no mini DV back then even, or no 24p cameras back then. This is shot on some kind of camcorder they could have bought at Kmart or Hills or Ames or whatever. Pick a department store that's out of business now besides Sears and things like that. But yeah, this is shot on video. They're working, I'm certain, with just, in-camera mic, kind of stuff. So, but I think there's a lot of good things. But now to backtrack, because I feel I'm really excited about this craze, Joe, because this is in my wheelhouse. But when we watched Justice Ninja Style, what did we watch?
Well, Justice Ninja Style, with the subtitle of George and Grady, Top Cops of DeSoto, is the classic story of a stealth assassin trying to right a wrong in a shot-on-video movie from 1985. After a pair of cops, George and Grady, attempt to cover up the murder of a woman that George was probably trying to rape, but we never really saw it, by blaming it on a local martial arts instructor who just moved from the big city to a small town, and boy, did he make a big mistake. A legendary ninja appears to try to free Brad, I believe his name was, and have justice served. Get ready for bright yellow vehicles, a silent ninja who has the ability to completely muffle locks and prison doors, and a number of stunts and fight scenes that work way better than you'd expect from a shot-on video release. That is Justice Ninja Style.
Yeah, I'm happy that Vinegar Syndrome, or we should discuss that. I think it's VHS Shit Fest or VHS Hit Fest, whatever you prefer. Released this. Dan Kinham is his name. He's actually in Curse of the Wolf, people, that I did many years ago. The man that owns or coordinates for VHS Shit Fest was in Curse of the Wolf. How about that for trivia? But yeah, great kid. Let's say this, Joe. If Justice Ninja Style, which we now have discovered many years later, if this would have went to mom and pop stores 35 years ago or whatever it was, do you think we're talking about it today?
Probably not.
No, absolutely not.
Because it's shot on video. But if it was shot well, then, with better equipment, it's just as competent as some of the other stuff I've seen. It's only the fact that the quality would have held it back.
Right.
Except for people like us. People who would be like, okay, I've seen every other Canon film. What is this thing? And watch it and go, oh, okay. This, especially when we were younger, and everybody who likes it, well, not everybody, but a lot of people when we're younger, we think we can go make movies. So watching this would give you some encouragement. You'd be like, okay, I can make a movie like this, and maybe you'd go out and try. So would it have been, number one in the mom and pop store? No. Would it have had probably a small audience who appreciated it? Yeah, probably.
I would say yeah. But yes, I agree. We're not talking about this unless the wonderful people at VHS Shitfest discover it, get with Vinegar Syndrome, and really, this Blu-ray is one of the better ones, I have in my collection, I would say. They did a really good job at cleaning it up, making it look its best, loading it with special features that you will enjoy. Like you said, there's a cast commentary or city people commentary on it. This one, I think it is not on the level, obviously, of the rediscovered New York Ninja, which we did on an episode of the Forgotten Movie Den, or a special episode not too long ago. New York Ninja, I think, is your 4-star shining example of finding something in a fucking vault somewhere, discovering it, and thought, oh my God, why aren't people watching this or knowing about it? But somebody thought, Justice Ninja Style was worthy of being in a conversation, which we're having right now, about it. And I'm happy I watched this. I think there is competent fight scenes. The camera work is actually much better than what you would expect from, obviously amateur, they don't have a legit director of photography, though. At least I think they don't. Sorry if you're the director of photography watching this review, I'm sorry. But I don't really think they had a real director of photography and stuff, Joe. I think there was some, much like we would say with a Don Dohler film, I think. It was Mike from RLM that I'm going to quote here. And he said, there's moments for Dohler where that incompetence meets genius. And I think this is one of those moments, Joe, with Justice Ninja Style. I really do.
Yeah, I agree that there's, we've seen movies with a bigger budget with far worse editing.
Sure.
We've seen movies with bigger budgets and better casts that don't make as earnest. I mean, there's some stunts in here where there are people being picked up and thrown to the ground. Now, you see in some scenes that there appears to be a mat or something underneath them, but in others there isn't. And there's people that are doing things that could have gotten them injured, and they're still doing them, and they look good. Yeah. Whereas, again, we've watched other movies where it's not done as well, and they don't even try to cover it up. So, yes, this is one of those things where I think the energy, the willingness to try to make this thing, it overcomes any of the problems because, again, as we've often said, sincerity will trump your ability to make something almost every time. If we see something where somebody's making something and they're making a true passionate effort to realize what's in their head, then you're going to overlook a lot of the problems. And I think this is a perfect case of that, where the sincerity and the effort and the fact that this is a community production, I'm not going to worry about the fact that little things here and there aren't up to, the technical level of something that had $1 million budget. Don't care.
Yeah, I agree 1,000,000%, obviously, because I've kind of lived it myself the last 20 years. But yes, I agree 1,000,000%. There is a heart to this picture. And you can tell, like I said, that the community involvement, I'm not kidding, people. There's a jail cell. There's good locations. All that stuff is there, and you can feel a community try to make this thing. But yet, on the flip side of that, Joe, no one knows what they're really doing for the most part. I think some of the photography we talk about, I think they at least knew some minor things about photography. Whoever directed the photography here or was in charge of running a camera at least knew, hey, I can frame a shot like this. Because all that's there. There's not a lot of poorly composed shots or anything like that in this film, Joe.
Well, yeah, a perfect example is early on there's a scene where the ninja is breaking into the jail. And what he does is climb the pipe. And it doesn't matter that individual is climbing that pipe, as far as I can tell. And that shot, for some people doing shot on video, it would be a camera sitting on a tripod the whole time. It would just be the guy walking up to the building, crawling up and going to the window. Instead, we get one shot where he comes up to it. Then we have an underside shot where you're seeing him climb up from the bottom. We have different angles. It's cutting back and forth. It's keeping the energy moving. It's not just a far-off static shot. And also in the beginning, there's a long shot from what looks like the roof of a building where the women drive off in a car, and a moment later the cop car comes out and follows them. That's coordinated.
Yep.
I mean, somebody had to pay attention. So there was clearly an effort to keep there's not the big continuity errors that we sometimes see where there's things jumping around. So somebody was trying, again, with what they had, to make the best effort. And I think it's very clear when you watch this, especially on multiple watches, you start realizing, oh yeah, this is flowing really well for shot on video. And that's where the power of it comes from. Yeah,
I think we're on fire with this review, Joe. I really do. That's up to you guys to decide, the viewers here. But I think we're on fire here. And I think here's another very, very important delineation here to make. When you watch Justice Ninja Style, which we have seen in many other films, just action films. We can talk to Road to Revenge or Champagne and Bullets or whatever the fuck you want to call it with the shimmy slide guy and stuff like that. Or even my beloved movie Miami Connection with Mr. Kim there that we love, CK, YK, whatever it is. Mr. Kim, those seem like vanity projects. Maybe they don't even seem, maybe they are, kind of thing. Justice Ninja Style does not feel like a vanity project to me.
No, I completely agree. I mean, even though Brad is technically the star, it never feels as if he was demanding that the camera stay on him. They weren't making sure that he looked better than everybody else.
Right.
It clearly feels like a community or an ensemble picture where every role that person is trying to bring as much as they can to it, and they're being allowed to have a good role. I mean, it's true. I didn't really think about it, but that's what I mean about when you rewatch it. It starts to occur to you these things where it's like, oh yeah, this isn't somebody with an ego the size of a mountain who wanted to make a movie that just celebrated them.
Agree 100%.
Let's everybody make a movie. The whole town, let's make a movie together, and that's great.
Yeah, I really, really highly recommend this, just because of the grassroots feel for everything, but really because I do think, and guys, believe me, I love the Neil Breens of the world. I love, Miami Connection and Road to Revenge, or whatever you want to call it. It has 18 different names. You know the film I'm talking about, people, with the guy that's a lawyer that does the shimmy slide and stuff. That guy. This doesn't have the feeling of any of that. This feels like a group of people tried their best to make something shot on video with a camera they picked up at Sears or whatever, Ames or Kmart or whatever, and they did it. And there's something to be said for that. And like you said, there is some really well coordinated or took effort to make certain shots. The car chase thing you mentioned there briefly, that's a perfect example. The climbing the pipe, getting a location like the prison, or you don't even write a character to be in a prison generally unless you know you can get that location, and obviously they felt they could. And, and we have a movie kind of thing, Joe.
Oh yeah, and it's got a beginning to end story. I mean, it's simple.
Yep.
It's not anything that's original or going to blow your socks off in terms of, oh wow, I never would have thought of that. But they complete the story. Again, something else, something like what you're talking about with Road to Revenge.
Right.
When that main guy is saying his lines terribly, you're laughing at him
Right,
because
yes.
you know this is him in his mind being like, I'm the greatest guy who's ever made a movie. Whereas in this movie, when somebody says a line and it sounds a little bit off or they're not quite acting, there's never a point where I'm laughing at them.
Right.
I'm like, well, they're trying.
Right.
And it's more of a charming thing where it's like, well, they're giving it as
Joe,
much
you're
as they
crushing
can.
it. Yep.
So that's the difference is I'm not laughing at this movie. I'm really happy this movie got made.
Yes.
That's a big difference.
Yes, it's a massive difference. Yes, you're never really laughing at Justice Ninja Style, really. I mean, you can have fun with it, people. Don't get me wrong. This Blu-ray, I think, is well worthy of your. And I'm not getting any percentage points from Vinegar Syndrome, people, but I think it's very well worth your time to check out Justice Ninja Style. I know, Joe, you said it. Was it on YouTube or someplace else to watch?
It is still. I actually was checking in prep for this. That's why I sent you a screenshot of. If you watch
Right.
it on YouTube, you may want to watch it a second time and turn the captions on because YouTube has no idea what to do with them, so it translates some really funny things. But it is still available to watch for free on YouTube. I think it's broken into 12 or 13 parts, about 6 to 7 minutes each. But you can watch it for free, and then if you have an appreciation, then you can go buy the nice copy of it. But yes, it is still on YouTube.
Yeah, I think this is a really good one. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I think I think a fun way to wrap up a conversation like this about this kind of communal shot on video, VHS, ninja film, martial art film, whatever. Joe, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but I would say if you had to double feature this movie with something else, what would it be?
Ooh, that is a tough one to do. Well, you know what? I think by bringing up Miami Connection, I think that it would be good to watch this and then Miami Connection. So you see this, where there's some, the technical limitations are clear. But then you go to something like Miami Connection and you see it where it's got the really clean transfer and it's got more of locations available. And you see, okay, this same energy made in this other format resulted in a better looking film that is a little bit more noteworthy, but this is where it comes from. Again, it's kind of to go back to the beginning, the DNA of one thing is to the other. This Justice Ninja Style is Miami Connection with just a few resources missing. But otherwise, it's the same energy. It's the same kind of love of what the story being told. In that way, they're directly related.
Yeah, I am not disappointed for putting you on the spot there because that's a great correlation. You go from a film like this, very communal involvement. I know we've hammered that point. But Miami Connection is the same thing, except with $1 million budget. Yes, it did have $1 million, people, back in 1987 or 86 when they filmed Miami Connection. But yes, I think that would be a great one. I think what I'm going to do is stay kind of on the same page, except backtrack a couple years, and then tell you about a film. We're not going to go super in depth because I don't know if Joe's seen this. Well, maybe a future episode, people. But where it goes a little bit awry because we have the ego and vanity project of something like again we say Road to Revenge and those kinds of films. But I'm going to say double feature this with a film called The Instructor from the early '80s, and I can't think of the guy's name. I want to say it's Bendel. I don't remember, but I had met somebody that talked about and actually was a student of Bendel's back in the '80s, and they had said Bendel, who made The Instructor, this film, he would post and take out ads that if there was a veteran that was missing in the woods of Denver or something like that, he would take out a full-page ad saying, Don Bendel is looking for the veteran in the woods and stuff. I can't make this up, Joe. I mean, he was that much into himself that he would do things like this. And I thought, wow, this is somebody it's the Breen. This is Breen. And I think the Instructor has a very Neil Breen feeling to it that you guys will enjoy. If it's something to pair up, in my opinion, with Justice Ninja Style, I want to say it's 1982, 1983, a film called The Instructor.
Yeah, I will admit the only exposure I have to this is it was on a Red Letter Media episode, and I've been meaning
I did not know that,
but have not yet. So Yeah, I believe this is one that Colin from Canada brought down. Yeah, and Bendel is the name, so it's got to be the same film. I just looked it up. You are correct.
Was it Bendel? So I'm not even
yes.
at 49 years old. I still got it. People in the mentals there.
It is Bendel. That is correct. So yeah, I didn't even know that wild backstory. That's great. That only makes it better. But now I definitely have to see this movie because it was on the list, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So yes, that may be a future episode.
I think so. I think let me know, Joe, because I'm in on the instructor. But yeah, it would be like me. Saying, Len Kabasinski is a full-page ad in the 1987 newspaper. He's going to find the missing kid in the woods or whatever. And I thought, wow, who does that? I mean, who lets you know? I mean, you should just be out there doing it. You know what I'm saying? Forget telling everybody about it. Just go do it. But yeah, I think
let's be thankful these people exist because there's some great films that come out of these egos, man. Yeah. Some classics.
I love it. I love it. I think he's still a martial arts instructor, so don't beat my ass or whatever, dude. But have fun with it. Be aware. I'll go with that. I think Miami Connection and Justice Ninja Style is perfect as well because you'll see the metamorphosis, if you will, into a bigger budgeted, even though low budget, but bigger budgeted. Miami Connection shot on 35 millimeter film. This is shot on video, obviously. All those kinds of things. Check them out. You can't go wrong. Joe, closing thoughts about Justice Ninja Style.
Well, it's mostly what we've already been saying. This is kind of the thing that I think you and I appreciate about movies like this is when we come across one where it's clear that the people making it really believed in what they were doing. Then honestly, that's the most I expect out of anybody is when they go into it and they say, we want to make the best movie we can. We know we don't have again, a huge camera rig that we can run around with a Steadicam. We don't have a crew of 35 people. What we have is a community that is supporting our vision, and we're going to try to make it the best we can. Then, honestly, the defects don't matter to me anymore. They really don't, because I think that earnestness comes through. And as long as that's present, I forgive all the mistakes. And this is a great example of, yep, they believed in it, they made it, and I'm just going to celebrate that.
Yeah, I don't even have anything to add. Joe really summarized everything that I was going to say, and I'm not even bullshitting you there. That everything there is completely correct. I think it is well worth your time to see something like this and just see this is micro-budget independent filmmaking that I bet was pretty fun to do for these guys. You had so much support and so much effort. You have a little town of DeSoto rooting for you, kind of thing. And I can't say it enough. If you're going to pick a low budget film, and I don't even want to say this is low budget. This is even beneath low budget, whatever that would be. You're going to have a good time with it. Are you going to laugh? Yes, you will. But at the same time, it's more laughing at just the appreciation of the silliness of everything that goes on with everything. Some of the acting, the sheriff guy, I think is quite good. I think he's going for it. Our rapist sheriff type guy, or that guy I think is pretty good as an actor. I think he kind of steals the show. Anytime the ninja shows up, you're gonna have fun with it. I think this is well worth your time, and I would highly suggest check it out, either on YouTube, like Joe said, or splurge the $25 and get the Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome, courtesy of VHS Shitfest. Thank you so much, Dan Kinham, for discovering this film and pointing it in my direction, because I got your Facebook message a couple weeks before saying, Len, I did this. You should go check this out. It's right up your alley. You are right, my friend. It is. And I've kind of lived this kind of film for a long time. But to wrap up Justice Ninja Style, that's a wrap. Joe, when people want to learn more about Joe from Ozone Late Night, where can they go?
Very, very simple. Just go to ozonenightmare.com and you will see a couple of links there. One will take you to the podcast that I do regularly, and the other one will take you to a number of different art site links where I do my artwork, and you can look at that stuff. But ozonenightmare.com, one address, and you can go from there. And
I'm telling you, people, go do it. You've commented on Twitter. Everybody likes the Iron Phoenix logo, and the one and only Joe from Ozone Late Night, and the spectacular artist that he is, he did the Iron Phoenix martial arts logo for my karate school. So anybody that really is complimenting me on it, don't compliment me, it's a compliment to him. So thank you so much, Joe.
Oh, I was delighted that you asked me to do it. I had a blast making it because I don't draw phoenixes very often, so it was very, very fun.
It was excellent. So thank you so much, everybody. As always, Ozone Late Night, or ozonenightmare.com. Patreon.com/KillerWolfFilms for all my stuff there. Have a good one, everybody, and we will see you soon.